welcome to the Photofocus Q&A show, episode 2. I'm Ron Pepper. He's Rob Moroto. How's it going, Rob?
It's going great. And before we get into anything, let me just say that this episode of the Q&A show is sponsored by Tamron. Check out their new 28 to 75mm G2 lens for the Sony E-mount camera lenses. And it's featuring a improved close-up performance, faster autofocus speed, and an exciting new lens design. This lens gives better image quality while retaining a compact, lightweight design. Plus, it has user customizable functions thanks to Tamron's lens utility. Check out more at tamron-usa.com. All
right, good to see Tamron sponsoring. I don't have one right now, but I had Tamron before, and I'm glad they're coming out with new ones still. And when I first saw that and heard it again now, I thought it was funny that they have the lens utility. Like the first time I had to update firmware in my lenses, I thought that was really crazy. Like a few years ago, that first time I came across that, and now I guess you can customize them and everything. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, we're here for our second Q&A show. We have 3 questions we're going to do today. So I'm just going to read the first one. Ready?
All right, let's go for it.
All right. Jared is that right? Robinson? Is that for you? Where I'm not sure where that is. He says, how do you guys get your files to your clients? He says, I've been using Dropbox, but some people are, well, he said something kind of not so nice about them, but some people are a little bit not tech savvy and have trouble getting the images off of Dropbox. I'm paraphrasing there, Jared. I was wondering if there's something easier.
That was a very nice paraphrase. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm I'm half Canadian.
Hey,
so I'm half polite.
That's good. Good. Yeah. Ryan Reynolds Canadian. Yeah.
My little bro.
Yeah, Canadians are great. You know what? We've been using Dropbox as well, and we send out a Dropbox link as well. You know what? We used to do this where we would share the folder with our clients, and we stopped doing that because here's the thing. When you share a folder to a client, the client then wants to be able to edit. And once you give them the chance to edit, then they have the chance to be able to delete. And once they delete, then they come back to you and say, where are my files? I can't find them. And then you look on your Dropbox and you can't find them either because your client deleted them. And I know, right? And that's why we've been using the Dropbox link. The second reason we started using the Dropbox link was with those clients that we were sharing the link. If you use Dropbox a lot and you fill it up a lot, it's going to get to that, what is it? Is it a 2 gigabyte limit that they have, or is it 2 terabyte?
Depending what you pay for. I think I have a 1 gig.
Yeah, whatever the free one is, you will reach that free limit very quickly. So your client then starts looking at you and saying, "Oh my God, I've paid for my photos. Why are you making me pay to download them now on Dropbox?"
What do I have then? When you pay for $99 a month, is it 10 gigs, or what is that for Dropbox?
Oh,
$99 a year.
That's 2 terabytes, I think. Yeah, we'll have to do a little bit more research before we do these shows again. But
this is usually off the top of our heads. But the Dropbox, for my part, I've used Dropbox a lot, and I still like to use it most of the time because it's easiest. If you just use the share Dropbox link option, then I'm pretty sure it doesn't allow all those changes because it's so simple. People get the link, they click on it, and I've pretty much not had people say I can't figure out how to get it.
Right.
So that's a good way to go. But I do think Dropbox is a good one. And the other one I've used is SmugMug, but that's something that you pay a few $100s a year for, and it's a very good professional service. So if you're really busy and you can say that expense is appropriate, then I do like SmugMug. And then I would one other I've just been trying out, and I've only really delivered something on it once, was Show and Tour.
Show and Tour, huh?
Yeah, and that's like kind of real estate oriented. So I can put up the still photos, I can put up the virtual tour, and I can put up all the stuff expected. And then they have an option that if you enable it, then they have to pay first before they download. Yeah. So that can solve those kinds of problems depending on your clients and stuff. And I would say, we're sitting here with two guys that are mostly real estate. So it might depend on the kind of clientele you have, the kind of clients you have.
Well, we work with realtors, so there's a
Technical
certain
or not?
part where there's a it's not a high bar that we have to get to. Like well, geez, I've got people that are well into their late 60s that are just picking up their cameras and or picking up their licenses, getting into this, and they're asking me to come meet them for a coffee to show them how to use Dropbox. And what I find is that Dropbox is, of all them out there, has been the easiest. Like, we use Google Drive as well, and trying to navigate someone through how to download on Google Drive is a lot harder, I find. But with Dropbox, okay, so here are the three things that happen to us all the time. Somebody goes in, they say the high res images, they download them, and they say, well, these aren't high res. They don't work. They're small. They're too small. My printers don't like them. And you think, well, no, they're high res. I shoot with a 50 megapixel camera. Why aren't they showing up that way? And the reason for it is what they're doing is they're looking at the thumbnail, right-clicking on the thumbnail, and saying save image. And what they're doing is they're not actually saving the high-res image. They're saving the thumbnail that is showing up on Dropbox for that image. So the best advice I have is, if you have problems with your clients not understanding how to download from a Dropbox link, I would suggest do a screen recording showing them how to download from a Dropbox link, and do it on a Mac and do it on a Windows computer, and show them where it goes and walk them through it. Show them how they do it, and make those 2 videos and then have them on your website, or put them onto YouTube and then just send them the links. And that will alleviate 90% of the issues. Oh, Ron, I think you're still on mute there.
Thank you very much. Rookie mistake.
You're welcome there.
So because I was out there picking on you, saying, "Oh, everyone's like Rob Moroto can just bust out a screen recording real fast." I've been noticing you've been putting them up fast lately, so we'll maybe mention that a little bit later. But I wanted to throw out one other thing was Wetransfer.com, which is, so if you did that, and I always laugh because to me it looks like wet transfer, but
Wetransfer
is terrible visual, but that might take a little more technical knowledge, because you need to compress a file, zip it. It's easy on Mac. You just right click and compress the file, get a zip, send the zip, and then the person usually just double clicks it. It all usually happens automatically these days, not like 10 years ago when you had to have an app for that. But maybe WeTransfer if it's a big bunch of files. If you're delivering a bunch of video and a bunch of architectural high res stuff, I don't know what he was really delivering, but hey, just do like I do, just like I've been doing for the last 20 years. Just burn a CD and just hand it to them.
Right. Fax it to them.
Burn a CD and fax it to them. Nice.
No, so one thing with WeTransfer, we do use WeTransfer, but it's WeTransfer is one of those ones where we get in a lot of trouble for, because when you send it with WeTransfer, depending on which account you have, the link expires in 7 days. And so I've got clients where 2 months later, they're like, oh, we're ready to list the house, and that link that you sent us doesn't work.
Oh, no.
Right? And so unless you have a backup of it, then you're kind of SOL. So WeTransfer, if you're on the paid one, I have no idea. I've never been on the paid one. I use the free one all the time. I love it. The one thing with the free one, though, that I found is that I had a client ask me, they said, why are you promoting a Chevy truck? And I thought, I'm not promoting a Chevy truck. And I said, well, no, the link that you sent me to like a Chevy truck ad. And I thought, and I couldn't figure out what it was until I realized, yes, WeTransfer does that with ads.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So there is that, right? So yeah, I know. I still like Dropbox the best.
Yeah. I wish I always look for the new kinds of services, but in that area, I haven't seen any. But in this next, all I have to say about that, let's move on. Let's just kind of throw this away. Get rid of that. That goes in the garbage. All right. Hey, Karen must have notifications turned on for whenever something
Whenever we're
about
on.
Pepper and Moroto go live, because she's I love seeing that. Okay.
Yeah.
And she liked the facts joke. We're recording this in the late at night at West Coast time, so I don't think we're going to have a lot of participation live. But this is
Yeah.
not supposed to be live. This is for the audio podcast, which will be out tomorrow, Thursday the 28th.
Oh my god.
Okay,
So no editing?
Nope.
Uh-oh.
Don't drop any F-bombs or anything. Keep me, otherwise I have to go back in there and give it like one of these. Something like that.
Klaxons. Love it.
That's right. Or maybe a pew, pew. I don't know, but anyway, that's just for my fun. All right, so let's go to our next question, which comes in audio question. Thank you for doing that, Michael, because I think they're more fun to do this way. So let's hear Michael from San Francisco, and I actually know who this is, so this is pretty awesome.
First-time listener, long-time fan.
First of all, first-time listener, long-time fan. That's an inside joke, I think, because I turned him onto the show. Okay, here we go.
First-time listener, long-time fan. My question's relating to NFTs and photography.
Yes.
With the proliferation of fairly low-res JPEG collections out there, what kind of photographic resolution and sizing are going to be most relevant to the marketplace and collectors? Additionally,
There's a second part to that, but so he's asking about sizes for NFTs. So I thought I would pause it there because there's already a few things to quickly cover.
Okay.
It's talking about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, the new collectible in the digital world. And I'm really, really interested in this whole thing. And I'm more, compared to most people, I'm a huge expert, but in the real world, in using it, I'm just new still. We're all new. So NFTs are a way of registering your art on the blockchain so that can never be changed. And then when it's sold from one person to another, that record is there. So the ownership can't be changed again. And the history of it can't be changed and all as it goes through. So without going too deep into the background of all that, it's in whatever way it sticks around or doesn't, it's big right now. I have my ideas of how it's going to be around for the long term, but I could be easily wrong. So NFTs, you can make an NFT out of anything. And since we're on a photography podcast, we're sticking to photography, and I can take a photo, I can mint it. We'll talk about that in a second half of the question. But he's saying, what size should I mint? So if you have a photo and you want to make an NFT, so someone can buy it as a collector and have an original Rob Moroto or an original paparazzi image, I guess we can compare it to an original painting. They can be copied, but they're still the original. And are they valuable or not? Let's save that for another time. But he's just saying what kind of resolution. And I mean, my answer is, like most things, most things is it depends. And what it depends on here in my first thoughts are what it's going to be used for. Because NFTs seem to be popular right now in the metaverses out there, the new online Second Life, whatever, Second Life 2.0. Wow, that's an interesting comment. And people are displaying them in these metaverses, but that isn't the only thing. You can make an NFT out of an actual printed image. Someone can buy an NFT. You can send the print copy to them, signed. You can do all kinds of things. So it's going to depend. And what I would say is, if you're selling something as an NFT, it ought to be, kind of respectable. So maybe the full resolution of your camera, whatever that is. So anything from 12 megapixels to, high, but the normal camera is up to 40 something.
I would have thought that that if you're paying money for something like that and you want the non-fungible token of it to show that you have the full ownership of it, then just me as a consumer, I would probably think I'd want the full resolution, like the biggest version of it, unless I'm buying a low res copy of it for a cheaper amount.
Yeah, I wonder if that'll be one of the things that grows out of it, is where you're able to mint multiple copies, so to speak. So you can make 10 or 100 or 1,000 originals, or one.
Like they're
So
doing
maybe-
that with sports guys, right? Like they've got some sports guys where they've got an image of say like LeBron, and they've got an image of him, but they've got like one out of 100, 2 out of 100, but the one that's closest to, I don't even know what his number is. His jersey
LeBron?
number is.
I should know this.
You should.
20, isn't it? No.
Putting you on the spot there, but whatever that.
Oh, I don't follow NBA enough anymore, but didn't I see that he was using 23 like Jordan for a while at least? I could be
Was he?
wrong about that, but I don't follow
But
any NBA anymore, so.
Like I heard that, if he has a series like that, then if you get like the 23 out of the 100 version of it, it has more value because it is more related to him, like a collectible.
Yeah.
So if it's like that, great. Like I would think that, if you're sending it out as a NFT, if it's a full resolution, charge more for it, but make it the full resolution, right?
It's going to come down to, this is so wild west within this area, that it's going to come down to what are people expecting, and what are you promising, what are they expecting. When you look at some of the NFTs out there, the description will include things that it comes with, and it could be nothing, or it could come with, like I said, something they said, if you wish to share your physical address, I'll send you this thing. So they can come with other things, and it's just really, really fascinating right now about where it's going to land. We talked about it in the roundtable show the other day, where what I feel like is going to happen, regardless of all the collectibles, I think it's going to be the new way of doing intellectual property. It's going to be blockchain intellectual property. And it doesn't mean that I'm minting it as an NFT, but if I quote unquote mint it, it shows that I'm the originator, so that it's used for when, if somebody's using my fabulous image in their advertising or something and hasn't compensated me, then you have that. We have that now, but you have to use Library of Congress, and it gets expensive, it gets clunky. I want to get everything away from centralization and bureaucracy. So I think that's going to be the future. But right now, all the excitement is about making a ton of money as an artist. So let me...
We're supposed to starve.
Yeah. Hey, the best thing about NFT, though, is, like, as I was mentioning, the bureaucracy and everything, is it's cutting out middlemen. And this isn't just for photography, taken in all general art, movies, music. It takes out the middle companies, where they're the ones making all the money. So this has potential of making it much more possible to earn a living from your art, rather than just, like, I do most of my stuff, I'm just commissioned. I just get hired to do stuff usually. But from a licensing or creating art, now we have it's going to grow out to be a better way of sharing that and getting compensated for it. So let's hear the rest of what Michael says.
Additionally, are there specific sites out there that are coming to the forefront for photographers to sell their art NFTs? Thanks for your help so much.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for the audio clip. I'm saying thanks for the audio clip, everyone. If you're listening, if you have audio questions, you go on your smartphone, go to the voice memo app, record your question, take as many tries as you want, use the share button, and email it to us. questions@photofocus.com. Okay. The platforms. Well, I did look at getting a few extra names. I have dipped my toe in NFTs by minting a handful of things on OpenSea. That seems to be the most popular one. There are other ones as well. The one that I heard about first years ago, and yes, it has been happening for years, it was Super Rare. Or was it Rareable? One of those. It was one with rare in it. I think it was Super Rare. There are now Nifty Gateway, Unknown Origin, and Makerspace, the ones that I kind of looked around today just before we recorded, because I wanted to have a few other names to throw out there. But those, I believe, are all on Ethereum, which is a little bit expensive. So if you hear about all the fees, the gas fees, that's Gas fee is just the fee you pay when you're using Ethereum. If you hear about that, yep, that's true. Be anything from maybe $100 to a few $100 to mint these things and sell them. So it's expensive. But there are other, I don't know the names, but there are other projects working on other blockchains that won't have such high fees. So I'm just saying to the listeners, keep your ears open because it's going to be a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal. It's going to be bigger, and I don't know if it's going to last big or not, but keep your ears open. I'm hoping for some other NFT projects that are find a way to be less expensive, and Ethereum might be one of those. They're apparently working on new ways of bringing those costs down. Oh, by the way, I just heard about today, there's an NFT.com, of course, and they're doing some different things too, but it looks like it's brand new, so I'm not sure it's ready for prime time yet. You got anything else about that stuff, Rob?
I really don't.
It's related to one of my things. I'm interested in NFTs, and boy, do I want them to be I want them to all be successful because I want the whole blockchain movement to be successful. But I'm only got my feet wet. That's it.
No, I'm old school. I wait and look online and see if people are stealing images, and then I send lawyers after them.
I know you use a fax machine,
right? Exactly. Yeah. Cease and desist orders sent by fax. Awesome.
So let's see. We have moving on. We have one other sponsor, Photomatix, which is now that's something I do know a lot about. I've been involved with the company for a long time, and actually asked them to sponsor this. So for high dynamic range photography, I know for Rob and I, it's important to use the bracketed shots with bring in the brightest and the darkest areas that the camera can't handle and bringing them together. I don't know if I'd have a photography business if I didn't discover Photomatix in about 2000, and I think I started with it in 5 or 6. And because you cannot light a 360 degree space. Nowadays you kind of can because there's so much more lightweight battery operated lighting, but it's still an enormous project to try to do that. It's just not feasible. So I use it for that and real estate, and it's been a game changer. And the perfectly live shot behind me is a certainly bracketed shot I used. So, all right.
Nope. Photomatix is awesome. It is the HDR program that we use, that I use and that I use for my company, Calgary Photos, and it is amazing. The quality's great, but the best thing about it is its automation. Like we used to do when I first started out with it, I would do bracketed sets using something called Infuse GUI. And that's kind of the feeling that you got when you were using it because because you were literally taking 3 images at a time and manually importing them, processing them, saving them over and over and over again. And so it would take days to get a shoot process. So
I've never just taken the time to play with Infuse, but I believe you can automate it. But the thing about Infuse is you get kind of one result. And if that works for you, that's great. Photomatix, you can get that result, of course, and thousands of other options. And we don't. If you have questions about it, though, that's something that Rob and I know about. In case you want to ask questions here. Yeah. But let's go on to our last question, and we can bring up. It's real estate oriented, kind of.
I think people know us.
Sorry?
I think people know our backgrounds a bit here. Yeah.
I invite anyone to challenge the general photography knowledge. And if we get questions about wedding photography or things that I'm not going to try to answer, I can ask other people to come on. You might have me, you might have Rob each time, you might not. You might have some other people doing Q&A. So, did you get his name?
Oh, from question 2? No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. From Anonymous, from the state of Anonymous.
Yeah, look and see if. But recently, I arrived at a real estate shoot and actually forgot my tripod. Okay. I've done all those things. Everything to forget, I've forgotten.
Yep.
I had no choice to beg forgiveness. Well, I went back and got it since it was impossible to do long exposures or multiple exposures without a tripod. Yeah, that's a big one. Next to the camera, I think that's the next big, most important thing. Would you have found a way to still shoot? What about when something else is broken or forgotten? How much backup gear do you carry? I love this.
This is a long question, and I like it. So, have I forgotten a tripod? No. But I have done this where I got a brand new camera. I was so excited about it and took it out to a shoot. And I realized that I actually forgot the base plate. You know the plate that screws into the bottom of your camera?
That's the same as forgetting your tripod.
It is, and it attaches to your tripod. Well, so I forgot to put the base plate onto my new camera because, well, I forgot. I've had it with, with all the cameras that we use in our company, we have set it so that there's one setting in there that says shutter release without SD card or without memory card. And we turn that to disable so that it will not allow you to make the shutter go if there's no card in it. And that's because if that is enabled, you can go through an entire shoot where your camera's going click, 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 and then at the end of it, you look and there's no memory card in your camera. So, if you want to know why we do that with every camera in our company, it's because somebody in our company had a really bad experience with that, and that person happened to be me.
That's a really good tip. This is recording for an audio show, but if you're watching this, this is what I call Rob's Gems from when we were doing this together before. This is a good one.
Yeah. And then in terms of how much backup gear do I carry? Well, I carry 3 sets of batteries because batteries can always die. I always carry 1 extra memory card brand new in my bag because if one dies, I've got a brand new one and I know it's going to be good. And the last thing that always breaks for me are flashes. So I carry 2 extra flashes, 2 more than I actually need. So I've got 5 in my bag at any one time. And aside from that, the thing that has saved my butt over and over again is the fact that I tend to shoot in bigger cities. And just knowing where the local London Drugs or Best Buy or anything else is, where you could, on a pinch, go purchase a quick lens, try it out, and then return it.
A lens, wow, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've had it where the aperture sticks on the lens. So I had one lens where we'd be out on a shoot and we'd be halfway through a shoot and all of a sudden the aperture sticks at f/22. So well, when that happens, you think about it and you say, well, which is closer? Can I get to one of my friends and borrow a lens, or is it cheaper? Is it closer for me to drive down to, say, the local London Drugs or wherever they sell camera lenses and have a very lenient return policy?
London Drug has good camera lenses for your Fuji?
No, but they do have the assortment of the Canon lenses, including the 17 to 40 mil, which is
lens,
a typical wide angle that they usually carry.
You brought back memories. London Drug, when I would hang around Canada. Living in Seattle, we'd be all the ways up there.
Yeah, I don't know. Where do you guys go? Where do you guys go in the States for stuff like that?
Yeah, I was going to say, when you came up a lot of memories for me screwing things up. But, okay, I live in the Bay Area, so I'm pretty lucky. I was in San Francisco proper for a long time, so it's pretty lucky with that. Like what I was realizing when you were giving examples is most of this stuff happened when I was newer, broker, and didn't have all the stuff. So I can recall showing up to a place with no memory card, and I did what you did. I ran over and I bought one, but at the time it was like painful. for
Yep.
just a memory card. But that was so long ago; they were expensive, and I was pretty poor starting out. And other times where I remember I was cleaning my sensor the night before a shoot, and I somehow screwed it up. I still don't know what I did wrong, but it closed on the swab thing, and it bent up the shutter. So I was at the moment of opening the store. I forgot the name now. It was in Palo Alto for a long time. That I would have known the name right off. I don't even know if they're still there, but a big camera store. But we have Sammy's in San Francisco, and we always had the other ones that are closed now, but we always have some around. And you could run to Costco and grab a Canon kit, camera and lens, if I needed to. I mean, I use Nikon Olympus, but I know my way around a Canon. It's got a clutch and an accelerator and a stick, just like everything else, right? So that might be one of the solutions. But and I also have the experience. One of the benefits to other people when I lived in San Francisco is they were like one guy I knew came for a job and left his stuff in the car overnight and got stolen, which happens downtown just about everywhere. Mm-hmm. And he was shooting 360s, so he was really lucky that he knew me in San Francisco and came over and borrowed my setup and used it. So that was good. I'm trying to think of any. You know what I wanted to mention? We could do more of those screw up jokes all day long, but the one time I've forgotten my tripod was, I believe I forgot to put it in the car and left it somewhere. I'm pretty sure is what happened. But arriving at a shoot, have not. I don't think. But I did. What you did is that it didn't have the plate. But what I wanted to say was he specifically said real estate. So that's tough. And if I didn't have a whole bunch of shots, I might try to still do it with what I keep in my car. This is from, I'll give shout out to Chris Marquardt. I don't know if anybody listening knows. I think he has the longest running photography podcast, because right when podcasts came out, I discovered his show, Tips from the Top Floor. I was a huge fan. I need to get a hold of that guy. He's awesome. He's in Germany. Anyway, one of the first tips I got from his show was carry a bean bag in your stuff, because it's a replacement for a tripod. A lot like platypods have come out, where they're a flat, and they're very similar to the concept. So if you're, again, real estate, I'm not sure if this is a good idea, but if you're out in the wilderness or something, or you want to just use your car, you just put the beanbag on the top, or you fashion something and put your camera on the beanbag. And if I didn't have a whole bunch of shots in the real estate, I might still try it, because I would want to have a remote trigger. Yeah. Because once it's set, then I don't want to. I can touch the camera on a tripod, but not on a beanbag. But if I had a remote trigger, I might still be able to. Maybe you find a bar stool that's about the right height, or you find something in the house that's about the right height you could carry around as your tripod. I don't know.
You know what? For real estate, yeah, I've actually done this where. Okay, so
what did you do when you forgot the plate? Did you find a way, or did you just bag that?
Well, that one I went back and reshot. But okay. So here's the thing: when we go out we go on a vacation, and we go out to hotels and things, and I usually like to talk to the front desk person and say, hey, you know what? This place is great. I'm a real estate photographer. Do you guys want some photos of your rooms before I move in? Mm-hmm. And sometimes they say, yeah, you know what? If you can send us some photos of the room, we can give you a discount on the room, or we can comp you the room, right? It's, for a real estate photographer, it's great. Just let them know what you do. And if they're looking for something, it can be very serendipitous. And I did that once, and I actually didn't have a tripod, because I was on vacation. All I had was my little Fuji. And so what I did was I took the Fuji. I knew that these guys were going to be putting on online only. So you punch up the ISO, and you do your brackets. And when you punch up your ISO, your brackets or your shutter speeds are quite high. So you go bang, 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 and you've got your shots there. From there, Photomatix has this beautiful thing where it does this auto align and it aligns all your images, so you're fine. And so that I've done. And
I was gonna mention basically the same thing, because The only thing you got to watch out for is following the same. There's that rule of thumb about hand holding a photo. For a photo, you want to have it, if your focal length is 35 millimeters, you want to have 1/35 of a second speed to that most humans can hold it steady enough. I would go a little bit faster because you want tack sharp. But so if you could do 1/50th or so, you don't have to have your ISO up so high. But the slowest shutter speed, so for the dark areas, that needs to follow that rule. So if you have a wide angle lens, let's call it a 24. let's call it a 16 millimeter. Then you don't have to have too fast of a shutter.
No.
So as long as the longest one is there, you should be able to hand hold it, bang, bang, bang. And you're right, the alignment it always works unless there's a ton of movement. But if you just hold it steady, you'll be fine. So that's what I was going to say too. Is that's one option. And if you go too high on the ISO and you get noise in it, use Fusion. It'll actually have a nice noise reduction side effect. That's one of my favorite tips in all this, is to use Fusion for noise reduction. Like that photo behind me, I'm sure I did that because it was probably a very noisy shot.
Nice.
All right, cool. Well, that brings us, that was our third. That was
3 questions.
All right. We could tell more stories about things we've messed up, but we can hold them for another time too.
We would be talking all night long if we were talking about all the little screw ups that we've done. Oh,
Rob, you know us. We do that.
But I will say this. If you ever get into a situation where you are doing a shoot and you forget something, do this. Buy your client a "I'm sorry I screwed up" gift, because that will ensure that you will get more business from that client again. Unless, of course, it's a wedding, and then there's really not much you can do other than really get out there and try and fix the problem right away.
I hope if you forget things at a wedding, I hope you have a few assistants that can run and get stuff for you.
Right? They're called bridesmaids and groomsmen. They're fantastic.
Wedding planners and stuff.
Yeah.
So let's see. We can kind of get to wrapping, but let me just mention a couple things. We have Rob and I are also anchoring the once a month roundtable, and if you haven't heard that one, if you look in the Photofocus podcast feed, it'll be chronologically, it'll be the last one before this, the most recent before this. And we talked about a couple of things we talked about here. We'll talk about more there. So check it out. Next month for the round table, we have Rick Salmon's coming on, so that'll be great. I haven't done anything with him for quite a while. Send your questions just go to photofocus.com/questions is the best way to find how to send some questions. And with that, I'm Ron Pepper. I'm coming at you from San Francisco Bay Area. See you in a couple of weeks for the next show.
And I'm Rob Moroto, coming from, northern Canada here, where it's nice and cool. And again, thank you to Tamron for sponsoring the show as well. Check them out at tamron-usa.com.
All right, Rob, and everyone listening, thanks for doing it all, and see you next time.